What did Hugh Freeze say at SEC Media Days? Kam Berry, Sports Call Auburn, joining me here on the show. Had some technical issues with Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn, but Kam, appreciate you pinch hitting here. So one thing that really stood out to me when Hugh Freeze took the stage was his desire to highlight the running game and what that can be for Auburn this year. He said it starts with Jarquez Hunter, but it doesn't end there. Talked about the offensive line a little bit. How good can this running game be for the Tigers?
I mean, the running game has been consistently really, really good. You know, just in the past, obviously, Auburn has a lot of running backs that have been pretty good. Jarquez Hunter could easily be one of the top running backs in the SEC. And then you already have guys like Damari Alston behind him, and then also Jeremiah Cobb. They have a room that is full of talent, you know, if the passing game can really get going, the run game can be extremely opened up.
Yeah, I think the ground game, you know, Hugh Freeze talked about the importance of it and said, yeah, you have to run the ball to win in this conference, not just to win championships, but to win games, period. And we'll get into Auburn's schedule here in just a moment, but you know, Peyton Thorne going into his last year of college football, I think we have a really good idea of what he is and what he isn't. He's not going to be someone that is an all-conference player in the SEC. He's not going to be a Heisman finalist. He's not going to put up crazy numbers or anything like that. But he can be a reason that you win the game, or a reason that you don't lose the game, which is sometimes all you need from a quarterback. Just go out there, 240, 250, 2 touchdowns, maybe an interception. But if you're just solid, steady, consistent, he can be that sort of guy. We saw that at Michigan State when he had a great running game, which is what I think, you know, places the importance of this ground game on Auburn's offense this year.
Yes, 100%. That year too in Michigan State for him, he really threw for I think almost 3,500 yards, and the offense looked really, really cohesive. I think Michigan State ended up winning 10 games because of it, and they were really, really solid and consistent. I think going into year two with Hugh Freeze calling the plays as well, I think that will help with Peyton Thorne and just having that consistency, that cohesiveness with him and Derek Nix calling those plays and just working together hand in hand. I think especially, you know, Peyton Thorne coming in, you know, in the spring last year, just kind of behind the power curve. He wasn't 100% the guy. You know, the confidence wasn't fully instilled in him. I think now that he has that confidence and really Hugh Freeze has endorsed him time and time again, that he's saying, hey, Peyton Thorne's my guy. I'm riding with him. I think that he can give us a great ability to win games.
Yeah, and Peyton Thorne has brought in some new weapons this year. He talked about having those weapons earlier today.
You know, we've gotten a lot of routes in together, but we've also just been hanging out. It's been great to get to know each other, and you know, obviously with 3 of our 4 transfer, Cam's not transfer, but Kam plus, you know, our 3 other transfers, I only really knew one of them in Sam Jackson, and so getting to know the rest of those guys has been great. Hanging out after we throw and just, you know, talking and, you know, having a good time. So it's been good. I feel like we're at a good spot right now, and we're going to continue that trajectory as we get into camp here soon. Yeah, he's even better than I thought he was, and I thought he was good when he got here. And so, you know, obviously I watched his film, I watched his highlights and stuff before he got here. You can only see so much of that when you're watching film and practice highlights and whatnot. But he's been great. I feel like he's a little bit bigger than you'd expect. He's not small by any means. He's probably a good 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", and he can run. And then for me, it's his releases. You know, when he gets pressed off the line, I feel great with him getting where he wants to go. And his start-stop is really good, too. He's a really polished receiver. I think our running back room is loaded. I think, obviously, it starts with Jarquez, and he's got a lot of games under his belt and has done a lot of good things on the field. Damari has done the same thing. He presents a very good skill set, and then Jeremiah Cobb is a stud as well that you guys didn't get to see much last year, but you know, he's really special. And so I feel confident with any 3 of those guys out there. They're all willing to block. They're all obviously really good with the ball in their hands. They can all catch, and so we can do different things with those guys. And our guys up front have been working their butt off.
Hugh Freeze was downplaying his ability to be a successful recruiter in the transfer portal, and was very pointed with his comments. He was asked a question that eventually became a question. The guy asked it kind of, he was setting stuff up. He was 15 seconds into it, and Coach Freeze was looking at him like, is there a question in there somewhere, anywhere? But the point got to be about high school versus transfer portal recruiting. Hugh Freeze says, you know, I'm not the best transfer portal recruiter. Certainly he's a good high school recruiter. I think we have seen that play out, but I think there are a lot of really notable transfer additions on this Auburn team. And I think what he's doing there is what a lot of coaches do, which is they understand where their fan base's mindsets are at collectively. Yes, they want the best roster available, but a lot of old school fans especially, they don't want you to be a big portal team.
No.
They don't want you to just disregard high school recruiting and not give young kids a chance to play. They want that traditional homegrown development feel. So I think he was playing into that, and I think there is an element of, this isn't a portal-heavy team,
right?
But certainly there are some important transfer pieces for Auburn.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You add in the wide receiver from Penn State, and he's a big addition just in general.
Yeah, Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yes, Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Football player.
Just a great addition to the wide receiver room that really just got completely revamped in total, not even just from the addition of the high school talent that he added, but, adding in Lambert-Smith as well as the wide receiver from Georgia State, Robert Lewis as well. Two guys that have experience in college football already, and then they'll help grow the young guys as well that he's adding into the room. So that, not to mention, just the defensive line that he's added. He added a lot of safeties as well, just a couple safeties as well. The guy from Texas as well, to just help supplant the defense after you lost some guys as well to the NFL draft. So yeah, he's kind of here and there touched around and added some guys in the portal, and I think that it's going to have that experience that he really wants while he lets his young guys grow.
Another topic that came up during his press conference was the schedule. It is a very unique schedule for Auburn. 5 straight games at home. Not 1, not 2, which is how many titles the Heatles actually won. Not 3, not 4, not 5. Yes, 5. 5 consecutive home games to begin the year.
Yeah.
He talked about it as, something unfortunate for fans, and my first reaction was, well, what are you talking about? They get to go to a game every week. But then I thought about it they don't get any time off. And like being a fan, not everybody can go all the time.
Right.
Then you're going to go the entire month of October and not play a game.
Yeah.
And not play a game at Jordan-Hare Stadium. I think it highlights the importance, particularly with the Oklahoma and the Cal games that are going to be the toughest of the bunch, to get off to a hot start. If Auburn's going to win 7 or 8 games this year, or push for 9, which I think is tough, but I think 8's very doable. If they're going to do that, they can't start any worse than 4-1.
Yeah, no worse than 4-1, and obviously that Oklahoma game, that 5th game is going to be huge. That is the biggest game leading up, and if you can really win that Oklahoma game and really have at least general success, that's going to be the tough one, of course. Oklahoma, I don't think they've seen an environment like Jordan-Hare Stadium. It really is different.
They've gone to play Texas.
Yeah, I get you.
Red River's still unique.
Right,
Red River's unique.
Exactly, it's very unique. Where you have 85 some odd fans coming in, yelling at you, screaming at you. It's going to be very interesting how Oklahoma handles that pressure. But if you're Auburn, you come in, you're at home, you have this new opponent that you've never faced in this environment. You have to capitalize on that if you're Auburn. You got to be able to do that. If you can start off 5-0, and even if you don't win that game against Oklahoma, 4-1, that's a critical stretch, because then you have, like you said, an entire month where you're not at home. You got to try and see if you can win some of those away games, at least a couple. You're going to Mizzou, you're going to Kentucky. The one at Lexington is the one that's the most winnable. Obviously, going to Athens, Georgia's going to be tough. Of course, that's going to, and Auburn has not.
I think everybody understands.
Right,
that's
Auburn has not won in Athens since the '90s, so it's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
You just don't even really want to talk about that one too much. But you go into a very good Mizzou team, I will say, and who is continuing off what they had last season, and then you have a team going against in Kentucky that should be a winnable game, you feel like, and going from there, you then have a few more games at home, and then you have the Iron Bowl. So it's a favorable schedule. In all honesty, I think 9 games is feasible. I think it's possible.
Possible.
I do think it's possible.
10 is not.
I don't think 10 is impossible either. But this is if everything is hitting on all cylinders. Everything looks as well as
the reason I say
hear what you're saying.
the reason I'd say 10 is not possible is at Bama, at Georgia,
Of course.
I think that's 0 for 2.
Right,
I think that is set in stone. So
those
then
are
you'd
the
have to
two.
be perfect elsewhere.
Right.
I know you got 5 straight at home,
Right,
but even if you do that, you have to win at Kentucky, at Missouri, and at home against Texas A&M. That's a game that Auburn probably feels like they should win, and I think they're capable of. But it's a should win, not a will win.
Absolutely.
They will, I believe, win week 2 when Cal comes to town. Won't be easy, but I think they will get that.
Yeah.
They will get that victory done. But that's just it's asking a lot.
Tough.
But it's why I think
it is
8.
asking a lot.
I think 8 is I think the win total on FanDuel is 7.5. I think that's an appropriate spot.
Yeah.
That to me is a perfect number because of what Auburn has at home early.
Yes,
they can kind of front load those wins.
Yeah,
but even if you pencil in those 2 with Georgia and Alabama, those are very clearly their toughest games. Because Missouri on the road, that's going to be hard. But that's a game I can see Auburn winning.
Yeah.
Like like Kentucky, I look at the Kentucky, Missouri, and Texas A&M games all the same from Auburn's standpoint. If you told me right now they win any of them, I'm not shocked. If you told me right now they lose any of them, I'm not shocked.
Right.
I think those
toss-up games.
I think those are coin flip games.
Yeah, very, very toss-up games. I do agree with you. It just depends on how Auburn looks at that point in the season, right? I feel like then we can kind of see. Once you go into that 5-0, I know that they'll all be at home, but you'll still understand kind of what Auburn looks like at that point in time, and then you'll see how everything plays out. Obviously, like we said, you go from that game going against Oklahoma, then you go to Georgia. Again, you just kind of want to see if you can have some cohesiveness against Georgia.
Yeah.
Not even expectations to win the game.
No.
If you can just move the ball, then you're like, okay, then going against
Moral
Kentucky,
victories are going to be in play.
Exactly. Going against Kentucky, going against Missouri, then you feel a lot more confident in those potential games. So I think 8 is a good number. I agree with you. I do think 8's a good number. I feel as though Hugh Freeze has to win 8 games just to feel like they can really continue just what they're trying to build there. I think 8 is the next step because they did struggle so much. I think 8 will just kind of keep away the fires of, the Hugh Freeze hot seat talks and things along the lines of. I'm telling you, man.
I know. Fans.
It will very much be there, but
like
I think the upward momentum is definitely there. I think it's highly possible, and I do think 8 wins is a good number.
I think they're a better team in 2024. It's just a question of how much and how that plays out with the record.
100%.
Kam Berry, Sports Call Auburn, my man.